And we have in Jesus all our guilt and treated land. La 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 la. Da 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 da. Unchangeable, unchangeable God. Unchangeable, unchangeable God. Unchangeable, unchangeable God. Jehovah Jireh, unchangeable, unchangeable God. Alpha and Omega, unchangeable, unchangeable God. Jehovah Jireh, unchangeable, unchangeable God. Jehovah Nissi, unchangeable, unchangeable God. Alpha and Omega, unchangeable, unchangeable God. King of King, unchangeable, unchangeable God. Alpha and Omega, unchangeable, unchangeable God. Do something new in my life. Do something new in my life. Do something new in my life. Oh God, do something new in my life. Something new in my life. Something new in my life. Oh God, do something wonderful in my life. Something wonderful in my life. Do something wonderful in my life. Oh God, do something wonderful in my life. Something wonderful in my life. Do something wonderful in my life. Oh God, I cannot do without you. I cannot do without you. I cannot do without you. Oh God, I cannot do without you. I cannot do without you. I cannot do without you. Oh Lord, praise the Lord. I want to welcome all my viewers from around the world to tonight's prophetic encounter. Hallelujah. Like I said yesterday, tonight we'll be dealing with altars. We'll be dealing altars. We'll be dealing with the dynamics and the power of altars. Praise the Lord. We'll be dealing with the dynamic and the powers of the altars. Most of the time, people don't understand the dynamic. They don't understand the powers of the altars. That is why, they take the altar for granted. That is why they don't understand the place that altar plays in our life. But by the grace of God tonight, I'll be spending time to look into what is an altar. What is an altar? First of all, let me take us to the scripture. We see that in Bible, most of our forefathers, especially the patriarchs, many of them formed the pattern of raising altar. The principle and the practice of the altar originated from our forefathers. It originated from the Old Testament. you will discover that in the Old Testament, the great servants of God, great mighty men of God, our patriarchs, they raised altar to Jehovah. So, ladies and gentlemen, altar became very, very important. But it baffles me that in our own generation today, people have misunderstood or don't understand the power of the altar. And tonight, by the grace of God, and maybe tomorrow night, we'll spend some time to pray and to teach on the power of the altar. We'll spend some time to pray and to teach on the powers of the altar. Let me give you these following definitions. My mentor, Reverend Dr. Musa Ransela, defines altar as a meeting point between humanity and divinity. The altar is a meeting point between humanity and divinity. The altar is a meeting point between humanity and divinity. The altar is a place where spirits, is a platform that the spirit uses to gain access to the earth. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this spirit could be spiritual, it can be good spirit, it can also be evil spirit. Altars are places of invocations. They are places of invocations. They are places of invocations. Altars are power base. So many people's life depends on their altars. Altars are humans' power base, even spiritual power, even spiritual people. Some of them, their place of altar is a place of their power base. It is a place to enact covenants, and it's a place to invoke divine assistance. Altar is a place to enact covenant and a place to invoke divine assistance. Altar is a place of communion. Altar is a place of communion. Altar is a place of sacrifice. Altar is a place of sacrifice. An altar is also a place where men make vows and enter into covenants. Take for example, the church wedding is being consulted in the altar. Many people are initiated at the altar. Many people are asked to come and enter into court. They take them to the altar to swear. And all that. Let me just give you just this little point. Altars plays very, very important role in our Christian journey. The principle of the altars was the principle that our forefathers learned. You see that the first altar we see was the altar that was raised. Cain and Abel offered sacrifices to God upon the altar. God accepted one sacrifice and turned away somebody's sacrifice. It's a place of communion. It's a place where men attract God's divine assistance. That's why I said it is a power base. The strength of some people depends on their altars. Altarless Christians are powerless Christians. Altarless believers are believers that will become a prey in the hands of the enemy. If you don't pray upon your altar, you become a prey in the hands of the enemy. You see in Genesis chapter 8 verse 20, that Noah built God an altar. You will see in Genesis chapter 12 verse 7, the Lord appeared unto Abraham and said unto thy seed will I give this land, and there build he an altar unto the Lord who appeared to him. You see here that Abraham built an altar. Abraham built an altar. As a matter of fact, Abraham built several altars. As we look into the scripture, the same thing was what his son did. As Abraham built an altar, Isaac built an altar, and Jacob built altars. In Genesis 35 verse 1, and God said unto Jacob, Arise, go up to Bethel, and dwell there, and make there an altar unto the God that appeared unto thee when thou fleest from the face of Esau. We say that Jacob also built an altar. Moses regularly had altars. You'll see that Exodus chapter 17 verse 15. And Moses built an altar and called the name of the altar Jehovah Nissi. If you go on and on like that, David, the man after God's heart, built several altars. And when Jesus Christ came upon the face of the earth, we see that so many times he separated himself onto the mountains and to pray. He had altars. You see that in Mark chapter 1 verse 35. They say, great while before the morning, Jesus went to a solitary place to pray. He built an altar. However, let me explain altars, or further divide altars. The broad divisions of altars are two. Number one, good altars, and the other one, bad altars. Every altar that is not named in the name of God is an evil altar. It's an evil altar. Now, what are other types of altars that we have? We have altars that are marine altars. These are altars that are laid by the side of the water, or altars that marine agents raise. Altars that marine agents raise. Altars, for instance, if you have been to a spiritism church, some of these churches that wear white garments, and some of these churches that, some of them, not all, some of them that wear white garments, some of them are altars of marine, have marine altars. We have what we call astral altars. These are altars that are raised on the moon, raised on the stars, raised in the heavenlies. 3. We have effigy altars. Effigy altars are altars raised with people's picture or raised with images. Those are dangerous altars. Some of these altars are where people have been afflicted. These are altars where the case of people are being brought to. There are some altars where if you take people's pictures to, they will use a picture and they will evoke demons into those spirits, into the person's life. And it begins to manifest. Those are effigy altars. Those are effigy altars. Let me also say that there are also marketplace altars. Marketplace altars. Altars that are raised in the marketplace to gain dominance, to subdue, to overcome. Those are marketplace altars. There is also ancestral altars. There is also rock altars. Altars that are raised on the rock. There are desert altars. There are altars that are raised on the tree. I was traveling on a long journey, very, very, very long journey, between one part of the African country to another part of the African country. So on the way, I needed to do something, so I parked my car, and I went deep into the bush. It was not a violation to park your car outside the road in that country, or to enter into any of the bush. As I went into the bush, I saw a nail. The nail was carrying a paper. And I saw that somebody's name was written upon that paper. And the person was pronounced, you will never prosper. The person's name that was on the paper was pronounced, you so and so will never prosper. And it was nailed upon the altar. By the grace of God, because I understood what it meant, I removed the altar and I prayed for that person. There are people whose name enchantment is raised against them and they are thrown into the sea altar. They buckle their names and throw it into the sea. And they throw it into the sea. And this, to a large extent, hinders the life of that person. I've also seen people whose name are written and or whose names or is effigy are taken and they lock them with a padlock, a kind of lock, and they threw them into the sea. There are also a kind of satanic altars that are raised against somebody, and they put it in a pot, they can put it in a bottle, they can put it in different places. So if I begin to talk about altars, I keep on mentioning them like that. There are so many. But however, we are here to deal with every effect of the altar. What are the effects of the altar? Like I said, altar is a power base. For a child of God, your altar should be a place where you come and intermingle with God. It's a place you meet with God, where you discuss the affairs of your life. It's a place where you receive divine help, divine strength. So also, an altar is to an evil man. An evil man goes to the altar to receive power, to receive backing, and to receive strength. Little wonder, you see some people come into a market and they take over that market. Some of the times they raise an altar in that market that nobody overtakes them in that market. So, a child of God must be sensitive to some of these demonic altars. Many of us that come from Africa and of course Asia and other parts of the world, our forefathers raised altars. Some of them are marine altars, some of them are ancestral altars, some of them are idolatrous altars. I saw my great-grandfather standing upon the altar, begin to mention the name of all his children and asking that his God to please protect my children. Wherever they go, protect them. Anyone that try to harm them, please harm every one of them from this altar. Now, there are family altars where they meet and do invocation. There are community altars. So many communities serve gods. They observe festival in remembrance of those gods. There's also what is called a national altar. There's also what's called a national altar. Now, these altars, like I have said before, they are a connecting point between heaven and earth. I've said that altars are human's power base. Until you judge the altars over a community or altars over a family, you don't get freedom from that family. For that family. Altars are where humanity connects with divinity. It is a place to enact covenant and to offer sacrifices. It is a place where decree, curses, also blessings are issued. It is a place of communion. What are the effects of these altars? Altars give you territorial dominance. From the passage we have read before, you see that everywhere Abraham went to, he raised an altar. Everywhere he went to, he raised an altar. Everywhere he went, he raised an altar. When you raise an altar of Jehovah in a place, you bring God into that business. You bring God into that place. Also, there are people of another religion, that is a religion that is widespread in Africa now. A dangerous thing that is widespread in Africa, a religion. Wherever you employ these people, they go with their mats and they begin to pray on their mats. After a short while, you will see that 3-4 persons will join them and they begin to pray. They are raising an altar. After a short while, that small mat becomes a place where a place of worship for them. And before it becomes their headquarters, becomes their Islamic headquarters. And from there, they begin to take dominance over that place. They may be visitors, but if you allow them, without much delay, they begin to dictate what they want to even the owners of the land. That is satanic altars. They are altars that are projected on the soul, that are used to a fight against man, used to fight a fight against human's destiny. That is Astra's altars. I've talked about marine altar. I will talk about other altars as we go. But let me spend time. We are going to pray tonight about our ancestral altars. Many nations of the earth have several kinds of altars. Some is Shango, some is Ku, some is Vastu. The names are endless depending on the nations where they come from. Some are marine altars where they go and make sacrifices. Now, this sacrifices is to appease the god of that altar, either to bless or to fight on their behalf. And some of these altars have what is called their do and don'ts. Some of these altars are things that they forbid people from that tribe. Recently, I met a lady. We are talking. And as we were talking, she mentioned to me that people from her tribe, they don't eat certain kinds of meat. And I became very curious. I said, why? And he explained to me that the time he tried it, thinking that it was just one of those sayings, she told me what happened to her. She said, okay, maybe that it was a mistake, it was a coincidence. The next time she ate that kind of food, he said the god of that land forbids them from eating that kind of meat. There are altars that forbid you eating, like for instance, okra. Some of these altars have things that they forbid people from. And when you find anybody who breaks the instructions of this altar, he opens himself for attack if he doesn't have Jesus Christ. Ha, po salivre